wanted to show you guys what my desk looks like after I film one of these journaling videos. This is the true reality of what my desk looks like, so just don't trust everything you see on Instagram, okay? This is pure girl mess right here. Guys, I don't know why, but I've been wearing pretty much the exact same makeup for the past 2 years, and all of a sudden I think my eyes just woke up and decided to be allergic to mascara, because anytime I put any eye makeup like eyeliner or mascara, my eyes puff up and get swollen. And I've tried everything. I threw out all my mascaras in case it was expired, done everything, but still for some reason they always do that. So if they seem red and irritated, it's because I think I'm literally having a constant allergic reaction. No, I'm not crying. Hi everyone, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another journal and yap video. I don't know what I'm gonna call these videos, if they're still gonna be called plan with me videos, because I know I haven't been doing that many planning specific spreads. I kind of have just been leaning more towards journal spreads in general and showing you guys the journal spreads that I like to do at the beginning of each month. So I don't know, journal with me, journal and yap. Let me know what you guys prefer. Normally I film this intro before I finish the journal spreads, but this time I actually didn't know what theme I was going to do when I sat down at my desk to journal. I didn't even know if I was gonna like draw or something, and I was just super inspired by all these textures and patterns and papers that I have. So I wanted to kind of upcycle all of these papers and turn it into a cute journal spread somehow. Normally I would use these as like full-on pieces of paper in my junk journals or scrapbook journals or bullet journal spreads and just like glue them straight in. I think I really like creating with confinements. Like for this in particular, I only had to use these papers. For me, I think it makes it easier to create because it makes the list of possibilities a little bit smaller, and it also forces you to think outside of the box of what you normally would do. So I'm gonna let it speak for itself and show you guys what I ended up doing with all of these little things and why I have so many pieces of paper cut out. So let's get started. So over the past couple of months, I've been collecting any sort of patterned paper or scrap paper that I've come across, and these are just things like paper bags, paper sleeves, packing material that I think have a cool pattern or material on them. Like for example, this was a little paper sleeve that held a souvenir, and I didn't quite know what I was going to do with them, but I knew I just really loved the pattern and eventually I would use it in my journal somehow. And this month I sat down and collected them all together, and I was like, I don't want to just use one of these, I kind of want to use all of them. So I brought out my paper cutter, and you guys know I love any excuse to use my paper cutter, and I thought of the idea of cutting these into strips and then weaving them together in a basket weave sort of situation. I had seen people weaving paper on TikTok before, but the ones that I saw, everyone was using colored cardstock, like brand new paper, and creating designs with it. But I really liked the idea of using these scraps of paper because one, you're upcycling and you're not using any brand new paper, but also it's kind of like collecting moments from your life and weaving them together into some life mosaic. I don't know, I just thought it was a beautiful way to journal with these scraps of papers and transform it into something completely brand new. And for me personally, I'll always collect things that I think are pretty, so these pattern paper, and then I will never know what to do with them and they'll just sort of collect over the month. And this was a really good way for me to use all of it at once. Now I will say it was definitely a trust the process moment. For a little bit at the beginning, I was like, oh god, I don't know if this is gonna turn out the way I envisioned, and it was looking a little messy, but I trusted the process, and in the end, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And it was also very therapeutic. It felt like I was doing a little summer camp craft or something. In terms of how to actually do this, it's pretty self-explanatory. I just cut out centimeter wide strips of paper. You can do it as thick or as thin as you want, but I found that a centimeter was the best way, just so that it's easier to handle the strips of paper, because some of them were on the thinner side. And then I lined them up in a row at the top there, so it would kind of look like vertical fringe. And then I took the other strips of paper that I had and put them, you know, over under all of the strips of paper and wove them as if they were like a picnic basket. And then I would just alternate the weaving of the paper strips. So if one of the paper strips I did was over, under, the next one I would do under, over. I continued that all the way down until I reached the bottom of the vertical paper strips. And once I had all of them in place, I just also glued the ends down. So essentially the middle woven parts of this design aren't actually attached by glue, it's just the ends of the strips of paper. And now that I have this sort of cool funky pattern background, then I cut out the letters to say August as well as some stars for decoration and put those around, and there's my cover page, my woven paper cover page. I'm so glad I trusted the process on this one because I think it turned out so unique and fun, and in person the texture is really cool to look at. I feel like when I see the different patterns, I'm just reminded of where I got those specific pieces of paper over the past couple of months, and yeah, it just turned out really cool. So that is the cover page. On the other side, I did a similar technique to sort of create a banner of the same texture at the top. If you are gonna do this, I would recommend cutting out a bunch of these strips of paper at the very beginning, just so that you have almost like a palette of strips of paper to work with, because I found that really helpful. And then underneath that header of basket woven paper, I created a little simple calendar. I've been really into making these simple calendars, just horizontal lines, and I feel like that really worked well because the paper texture can look a little chaotic, so I wanted to go a bit simpler with the actual planning spreads. I think I was just going crazy with the paper crafts here because I was finding every excuse to use any sort of paper tool that I had. And so I used this star punch tool to cut out a bunch of stars, and that's what I used to put the little numbers inside. And then I would also glue some of those stars scattered around the spreads just to add a little bit of decoration. The next spread that I'm making is really exciting because it's actually a spread for an upcoming Japan trip that I have soon, and I was actually just there in Japan earlier this year, but I'm going again, and I'm really excited because Tokyo is one of my favorite places to visit, and there's always great stationery shopping, of course. And for this trip, I actually decided to pre-make a little photo memory journal spread. I know this is a bit unusual because typically I would wait until after a trip is over to create a travel journal spread about it, but I kind of like the idea of pre-making one in case I ever want to journal when I'm at a cafe while I'm there or something, because when I'm traveling, I obviously don't have all of the stationery supplies that I have available at home, so pre-making a little template is kind of nice that you have something to work off of, and then you can just add in any words, print out photos, because I travel with my little photo printer, and of course I left space in case I want to add any scraps of paper or stickers or things like that. But I don't know, I kind of like this idea of pre-making a journal spread, and I don't know why I haven't done that before because I love to sit at cafes when I travel and journal, but sometimes it's just like you don't have everything on you. So I'm really looking forward to finishing up that spread while I'm there, and of course I'm looking forward to my trip as well. I'm planning on filming some Japan stationery videos. I know you guys love those, so stay tuned for that. The last spread that I'm making is a little weekly spread. It's pretty simple in terms of the format, which is something I've been really liking, but of course I wanted to include the paper weaving technique, so I made a little patch of the basket weave in the top left corner here. By the end of these journal spreads, I got really fast at creating this texture, so if you're struggling to handle the papers at the beginning, just know that it just takes a little bit of getting used to. I personally really liked having some of the strips of paper longer and shorter, so that's why I didn't cut them all the same length. I feel like that adds texture and kind of adds to that collagey feel of the theme. You can see here I have some ripped craft paper at the top, which is where I put my to-do list, and then at the bottom I have a little quote that I made, which is just, "Life is all the small moments woven together." Of course, I feel like this quote matches this month's theme perfectly with all these scraps of paper from my life that individually I might have thrown out or not appreciated, but together woven into something brand new, it's really beautiful. And to me, this month's theme is really a reminder to appreciate those small moments and be present when they happen. I wanted to show you guys what my desk looks like after I film one of these journaling videos. This is the true reality of what my desk looks like, so just don't trust everything you see on Instagram, okay? This is pure girl mess right here. Alright guys, so that's it for my little August journal spread. I love the way this turned out. The texture is coming all together. I think it's really really cool and unique, and it's kind of like these little junk scraps or moments from my life, and I've woven them together and created something new with it. So I think it's really fun and like a cool way to use your scraps of paper and things. So reduce, reuse, and recycle. I'm gonna keep making spreads using this technique throughout the month. I think it's a really fun, low lift way to journal and forces you to use things in your life that you have already. Anyway, here are some of your doodle planner spreads and recreations from the past month or so. If you guys want to tag me, you can tag me on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and I love seeing them all. Also, I wanted to highlight some of you guys who bought the Little Doodle Friends blind box and posted yourselves wearing it on your bags and on your outfits. They're so cute, so I'm throwing them all in here. It's our little community roundup. And I hope some of you guys try this little paper weaving craft. I think it'd be fun for the summer, so get together and weave together some of the papers in your life. Alright guys, I think that's it for today's video. Keep doodling, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye everyone!